Got a swing review here of Open champion Darren Clarke, and I've seen Darren hit a lot of shots at different tournaments over the years, and as a spectator watching, and he's an impressive ball striker. He's definitely one of the guys that you can see why he prevailed in the era pre hybrids and utility irons. This guy was able to strike the ball properly with any club that he had in the bag. So definitely had an advantage on the long game, and it's quite impressive to see someone be able to control the ball flight so well. So just nice to have a good look through here and see how Darren puts it together. Get definitely from setup here, you can see he's got a pretty good neutral setup really. Nothing really too much going on, and then if we watch as he takes the club back, definitely lets that right arm sort of fold away a little bit earlier, starts to make a good turn in the beginning, and then that right arm folding takes over, keeps the club just slightly outside his hands at this point here, and there's plenty of loft on the club as well here. That then works then with a lot less body movement going back, and definitely in the more recent years you've seen Darren potentially move forwards or lose his height, but in this video he's doing quite a good job. But that movement where his right arm folds, what that does is that then brings as the body stops moving, that then circles around and brings the shaft to be what's more across the line at the top. And then coming down then, there's a tendency that the club's always going to be moving. It's shallowing, but there's a chance that it's going to be getting underneath on a bad swing. But on this one, keeps it pretty nicely in front of himself. And then body's opening nicely. Then you can see he's got a big space between his hands and his body still. So he's got plenty of width there. That means the club face can remain passive. It does mean at this point here that we're going to see the butt end of the club. He's not going to be covering it and on top of it due to just mainly due to how much sort of width he has. Slightly camera angle dependent. This camera is definitely more on the target line than on the hand, so it's always going to show a little bit more of the club. But from the front here, just can see nicely Darren's weight's pretty static the whole way through. Starts the downswing there with a really good motion in the chest opening up. Got plenty of space. And then that right arm, although it's coming from slightly behind him, he's still able to control the release of it and keep the club face manipulating and turning over to a minimum. Nice full release up to the finish. I think if there's something to take from Darren, it's definitely, if you've got loft on the club, you've always got a chance. I think that's very important. And most importantly here, he's kept his posture really well. So his relationship with the ball has stayed very similar. He's kept the main fundamentals of how he can best and most easily reproduce the same relationship with his body and the ball for impact. If there was something to work on, I think it's in this area here. I'd love to see those two arms stay a lot closer together. I think his chest moves enough at the start to allow that, and then he could probably work on getting the club to point more in that direction rather than ending up that way. And that would then in turn mean that on his downswing with that chest moving, the club would always come slightly more in front of him. It would produce potentially slightly more of a fading ball flight, but I don't think that's something that that a player like Darren would have too much of a problem with. So I hope you enjoyed it, and let us know if you want any other swing reviews doing.